our next guest, who is the unofficial hype man of the women's basketball team, and Joe Schwartz. Joe, I appreciate you coming back on the show. Friend of the show, friend of ours. Welcome back. Just getting back from Gainesville for the dub. Y'all got 2 games left.
2 left.
One on the road, one at home. The last home game is the last game of the season, which is on Sunday.
Last regular season.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Regular season game on Sunday, and then y'all head out to the SEC tournament, which is where?
South Carolina, Greenville.
Oh, that's right.
Greenville,
Also
Alabama.
So y'all gonna be the number 2 seed in the tournament.
Yes.
Behind South Carolina. So it's gonna be
probably, unless something crazy goes wrong, we should be the 2. We can't finish lower than 3rd.
Right.
Okay.
Because Tennessee has 2 losses, we have 1 right now.
Right.
Okay.
And then
gotcha.
Tennessee plays South Carolina on Thursday night.
Right. So let's say 1-2. So
Bust out
obviously
the
it just
Eagles
matches
jersey.
up for y'all to get to
To bust out the Eagles jersey.
it matches.
I'll put a Tennessee jersey on for that game Thursday night.
It's
T. Martin.
it's lining up for y'all to match up in the finals, right? I'd imagine after getting through the South Carolina game, understanding kind of where the measuring stick is, understanding, hey, this was a big game. These are the things that we didn't do well. These are things that we did do well. I'd imagine that Kim's gonna have the girls ready to go for round 2 if that were to happen in the tournament. But the beauty about women's college basketball is they get to host in the PMAC during March Madness, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I love that, and I think you've kind of seen college football playoff has said they're going to go that way in some of those early rounds in the years to come. I think there's something to be said about home court advantage, not from a standpoint of you're the higher seed, you get to play at home, but you look at the teams and their crowds, their attendances, and building the game. Like, why wouldn't you want to go to the PMAC? We had 15,000 in the game against Tennessee. We're 3rd in attendance behind South Carolina and Tennessee, and I think we've closed it within double digits right now. I think Tennessee's at like 8,200 something.
Yeah, so UConn's not even in there anymore.
This is just SEC.
Oh,
SEC.
SEC,
Yeah,
okay.
this is SEC. But from an SEC attendance standpoint, you're talking about 3 pretty big-time teams and programs who have a lot of history back to the national stage. And the fact that you get to display that in the atmosphere in the best time of the year, March Madness, I think it's pretty special. And the girls, when we talk about our goals at the beginning of the season, we don't want to – I mean, you can't say you want to go undefeated. You can't say you want to win a national championship. Yeah, those are long, big goals that you have, but you got to be realistic with it. And so we said we wanted to finish top half of the league. We wanted to win 90% of non-conference games. We've done all that. But the big goal was put yourself in a position to host the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. And as far as everything's looking, I think that's going to be very realistic. And I think come Selection Sunday, we'll be either a 1, 2, or 3 seed. I think a 1 seed's a stretch, but I think we kind of solidified ourselves as a 2. I think they had us in bracketology as the top 2 seed. So
basically the 5th overall seed.
Yeah. And there's a lot of big games to be played. I think Utah and Stanford still have to play. South Carolina, Tennessee Thursday. Heck, we've got Mississippi State coming to our place on Sunday. They're playing real well. And then on the road at Vandy, that's going to be not going to be an easy one, not going to be a cakewalk. But
because it feels like a little bit that you have a target on your back. We just talked to Jay where they kind of are dealing with the similar thing. Whenever when you get to be this hot at this time of the year, everybody's kind of gunning for you a little bit. Yeah. You've seen teams play up to your competition a little bit.
100%. Bob's our film guru, and he watched 11 full games on South Carolina. 11. I mean, that's pretty absurd. I don't know how many he watches per opponent, but out of the 11 games, South Carolina didn't play anywhere near as good as they played against us in any of those. They played good enough to beat teams, but then you watch the game on Sunday. They played Ole Miss, and Ole Miss had a shot to beat them at the buzzer. Didn't get the shot off. It was tied, and then they go into overtime, and South Carolina wins. But South Carolina is very good. They're hands down the best team in the country. No question about it. When they're on, they're on. They're the deepest team. But take them off their home court. Take them out of the state of South Carolina. Put them on a neutral site or someone else's home court. They're very beatable. And teams like South Carolina, like us, are going to have a target on our back moving forward. We're not scared of it. We're not going to shy away from it. I know Jay's not going to shy away from it. Nope. I know Brian Kelly's not. No, I mean, it's LSU. What do you expect? You should want to have that target on your back because it means you're relevant.
No doubt.
So, I mean, we're speaking about them. That's cool. Whatever. I don't really want to give them more than what they've done. What they've done. We know where they are.
I love that.
We know where they are. We know what they're doing. That game was what it was. How easy was it to, I guess, turn the page and get the squad to refocus and understand, like, this is where we are. This is what we've done. This is what's in front of us, and this is what you need to do to finish where you want to be.
Because sometimes that's the hardest thing to do,
Right.
especially on a team that hasn't lost a game.
Right.
It's Mardi Gras. It's New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. King cake, that's a big thing around here. We got a nice slice of humble king cake, if you will.
I like
and
that.
we needed that.
Yeah.
It was a different experience for everyone on that team. Coach has played in that atmosphere before. She's coached in that atmosphere. She played in front of like 72,000 fans when she was going through the Olympic, I think it was the Olympic qualifiers or something. She played in front of like 72,000 in Russia. Like, she's played in big time atmospheres. I've played at Allen Fieldhouse. Well, I didn't play, but sat there and watched.
Game was great.
It was awesome, except we lost by 20. But I've been in some fun arenas. But back to building the game, like, that's what you want. But I think top to bottom, saying top our seniors, Alexis Morris, LaDeja, who actually played at South Carolina for a couple years. And then down to our freshmen, Samaya, Flage. It was very evident, and I think Jacques Doucet had a video on Twitter before the game when the girls were walking out of the tunnel, and South Carolina, you look up, they've got these red and black and white strobe lights flashing, music playing, just a crazy intro. And Samaya's face was just like, I mean, it wasn't even like deer in the headlights. This was like a little duck with maybe the wing not working, trotting across, like walking across I-10. Like, but that's what it is. The first time playing in an arena like that.
Yeah.
Definitely butterflies. But it's a good learning point.
Yep.
And like you said, you take it one of two ways. You take it this way, like, oh, South Carolina, they kicked our ass, like, whatever. Or you take it like Jalen Hurts said, you either win or you learn.
Yep.
And that's what happened in the Super Bowl. So that wasn't our Super Bowl. Our goals long term, we want to beat South Carolina. We want to be at the top of the SEC. They have 6 seniors that they're losing.
Yeah.
So they better be glad they got us this year at their place.
Right.
Because down the road, we don't know. They're going to keep bringing in talent. She's built a good program there, whatever. Give her her flowers. That's great. But she knows who's coming behind her.
No doubt. And I'd imagine, I don't want to jump too far ahead because you have 2 games left. You have to finish the season strong, and you have the SEC tournament. But I'd imagine that the matchup between LSU and South Carolina in the tournament is a very realistic possibility. And, when you get to that point, right, what are some of the things that they need to do to be able to say, we're going to control the game, we're going to control the tempo, we're not going to get beat? Because South Carolina's got 2 players on their team that not many people have, and that's the big giants they have.
6'7" and 6'5".
That's what I mean, 6'7" and 6'5", down low on the block. And more so than the men's game, the women's game, the inside game is such an important part of that, right? Like, they're not having the point forwards. They're having, hey, these girls are getting the ball and they're dominating and they're physically just imposing their will. So how do you combat that?
You watch a lot of film on the games that South Carolina's played since they've played us. They've been in a couple close games. The Ole Miss game is the one that really stands out. It was guard play. Granted, Alexis played great, but our other guards, they struggled a little bit. They struggled with the defensive pressure. But some of that defensive pressure was on the perimeter was because of what the bigs were doing to our bigs down low. And I think Angel took it very personal. I think she realized, like, hey, I played against the best. Those are the best post players that we'll see this year. So it really woke Angel up. And I think what she did in the past 2 games proved that. Steffi Sorensen at halftime there's a game right now on SEC Network. She just said Angel Reese is her player of the year in the SEC. I don't know why she wouldn't be.
Right.
I mean, she's been the most dominant consistently, has the best stats, and shows up every night. And she didn't play great against South Carolina. Whoop-de-doo, the one game.
We have one, yeah.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
But speaking of that game, so if we're talking about those post players and how they played, I think as a whole it was very evident how physical they played. Have you seen an uptick from y'all side of it in physicality after that game?
A little bit. It's not to where we want it to be. Now, I will say this. Against Florida, I think they shot 20 free throws and we shot 8. I don't know if that was just really bad defense on our part, or we're starting to bang a little bit more because we were fouling their post players down low. I think our guards are being more aggressive on the defensive end from a standpoint of, hey, we're going to get up in you and we're going to pressure. We're going to crash the glass. We're going to get back to our rebounding and our defensive mentality. But it was also nice to be able to put 90 on the board against Florida because our offense hasn't been great either. I think this was the first game we've shot over 40% in like our last 3 or 4 games. But we still have work to do. I mean, we're not at that defensive level that we need to be. We're not getting stops on top of stops on top of stops, and that's one thing we preach. A lot of people will probably hear behind our bench or in the crowd when our bench yells kill. And a kill is when you get 3 stops in a row. So you get your first stop, the plan is to go score. You get your second stop, you hope you score. When the other team gets the ball back for that third possession, our whole bench is screaming kill. Because when you get 3 stops in a row, and that is so demoralizing for
especially
the
if
other
you're
team.
going scoring on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our goal every game is 8 kills, and I think in 8 of our last 9 games we've been under that. So it's tough. It's very tough to do.
Right.
That was something that Buzz William, he does at A&M. That was something that Coach Smart did when I was at Texas. A lot of coaches on the men's side do it. I've started to see it more on the women's side, but when you can get back to that defensive mindset, knowing that we've got weapons on offense, that's when you become really dangerous. And we're very, very close. We spent a lot of time in the film room last week, and Coach Starkey had pulled together some clips, like against Ole Miss. The lead was like at 11, and then you get to 9, then you get back to 11, you get to 13, and we're 1 or 2 possessions away on the defensive end. If we get one more stop, it could get to 13, get to 15. Or we're on offense and we're not executing, and we give them a turnover, it gets back to 9, and then we turn it over again and they hit a 3, it's back to 6.
And that's my next question is, right, turnovers have kind of been a little bit of an issue too, right?
Yeah.
Like you talk about the defense, right? You can get a couple stops, but if you're going over there and you're not scoring and you're giving the ball right back, then all of a sudden it's everybody's getting stops, nobody's scoring, and there's no rhythm, there's no vibe to the game, right? It's just kind of a messy game because everybody's just turning the ball over. Have you seen improvement over the last couple of games? Because in the turnover department,
well, that's the thing. So it's funny you asked that because I was talking to Coach Bob about this the other day. We only had 11 turnovers against Ole Miss, but if you look at all 11 turnovers, because our goal is under 17 turnovers a game. If you look at the 11 turnovers we had, I think like 4 or 5 of them were just us giving them the ball and they go wide open layup. So there's that fine line. Like if we're going to turn the ball over, I'd rather us throw it six rows deep in the stands so we can go set our defense up. But the live ball turnovers, that's what's killing us right now. Just errant passes. We had a few of those against Florida yesterday. But Ole Miss, like it really stuck out. We're up 10. Angel has a putback right above the media timeout, so 5 whatever on the clock, and we don't score the rest of the half, and they cut it to 2. So is it that the teams we're playing have that good defense? I don't think that's the case. We're not really executing on offense.
Playing with your food.
Exactly. Just over here. I don't like that.
Lloyd loves that phrase.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Though when you're that supremely talented, that's kind of what happens. You play a little bit down to your competition. It feels like because you get comfortable.
And yes, but also like you said about the target on your back, it's teams playing up to our competition or to our level of talent. And there's talented players. It's the SEC. Like we've gotten Georgia's best shot. We got Arkansas's best shot the second time around. We got Tennessee's best shot. We got Ole Miss's best shot. And there's teams like Arkansas goes and loses by 23 to Georgia the other night. We played them to a 3-point game at our place. Like
impossible to bet on right now.
Can't comment on that, but
I gotta stay away from that part.
It's like you're gonna get everyone's best shot, and especially in a league like the SEC where everyone knows everyone, and you've got all the common opponents, and you see all the film. You're gonna get everyone's best shot, and don't expect anything less from Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt probably thought they had a chance to beat us here, even though we beat them 20+. They were a few shots away. I mean, they missed a lot of open shots against us. They played good defense. They'll be ready to play on Thursday night when we play them.
So obviously you're going to host games here, right? March Madness, postseason, but the last regular season game is on Sunday. I don't want to say, nothing's guaranteed because you're basically guaranteed to host at least one game here at the PMAC. But going into the SEC tournament, you'll still have some work to do. You would like to be a number 1 seed.
Yeah.
I think that you can play your way into a number 1 seed, winning the last 2 games, winning in the tournament. How important is it to have a good showing on Sunday here in the PMAC and be able to send the girls off to the tournament in South Carolina and say, hey, listen, you got all these people behind you supporting you. Look at look what you've done to the PMAC. I mean, the guys, you go to a guys game, you don't have anybody in there. The guys game on Saturday. Now, get it. It was Mardi Gras weekend. I don't know if there was one student in the student section. There was not. There was not, right? Yes. And I'm not saying it to be a stain on the. I'm talking about it because if you go look at a women's basketball game, it's the exact opposite. You have a lot of turnout. You have a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have a good showing the last home game of the season going into the tournament?
I think it's very important. One, because the girls deserve it. It's senior night, senior day. I don't know what time the game is. I think it's an afternoon.
Early afternoon.
Yeah, early afternoon.
That's right. Just show up. You know what I mean?
They'll give me.
Somebody will text you.
But for Alexis, someone like Alexis, who's given not only so much to LSU, but to Coach Mulkey. I mean, you got to remember, Alexis Morris was a freshman at Baylor for Coach Mulkey, and Coach Mulkey kicked her off the team freshman year.
Right.
Well, Lex scatters all over the country, decides to go to Rutgers for a little bit, goes to A&M, and then last summer calls us back and said, hey, I'm coming to Baton Rouge. Shows up at the team meeting, and what she's done for our program, the type of leader that she's been, she deserves it. LaDeja Williams transfers here, has had a very good 5th year. She deserves it. Emily Ward, walk-on turn scholarship player, local kid. Jasmine Carson. Those seniors, people don't realize how special it is to have seniors. I think especially on the men's side, you don't really see.
And that's in every sport, too.
Yeah.
They're important.
Yeah, baseball you can leave after 3. Football you leave after 3. So these kids that stick it out and go through the ups and downs, they're the ones that really give everything to the program. Because not that leaving or transferring, we love the transfer portal, but when you leave after your 3rd year to turn pro or whatever, that is for your personal benefit. For these kids that stay, those 4th, 5th, and the COVID kids who have their 6 years, they're the ones that deserve it. Also, for the students who are seniors, who have been coming to games the past 2 years for us, because COVID was before that. COVID was, I guess, sophomore year for a lot of these now seniors. They missed out on some of these crazy atmospheres and sporting events, and it's so great to finally have fans back in the PMAC. But you can't tell me if you're a student and you have attended our women's basketball games this year, you haven't had fun. So for those seniors who have been coming to our games the past couple of years, I know we're losing a couple of our balcony bingos. A couple of them are seniors this year.
Next man up.
Exactly. But for this last regular season home game, because for NCAA, the rules are different on who gets to sit where and the different sections. We won't have a true student section. We'll work on some things to make it a student section.
Oh, really?
So the
NCAA, is that every sport?
The NCAA, they take over your arena. Yep.
During March Madness. I thought you meant moving forward. That kind of stinks.
No. For March Madness. So last year, Coach Mulkey bought all of that section behind the basket, all those tickets, allowed and gave them to the students. So I'd assume we're going to do something like that again this year. And last year it was great. I don't know what the Mardi Gras parade schedule is this year, but last year we played Ohio State on the day of the Mardi Gras parade. But the Mardi Gras parade was in the morning. We played mid-afternoon, so everyone just came absolutely crazy hammered.
Good Lord.
Unfortunately,
from the layup line,
Mardi Gras is going to be over by then. But okay.
St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know if I will be able to make it in the afternoon on St. Patrick's Day. I will watch it as best I can on the TV.
Me too.
Well, is St. Patrick's Day Saturday?
It's all the parade.
Yes, it is.
All right, so let's pray that we get the Friday Sunday draw this year.
Well, there
you go.
Yeah,
get the
not
Friday
the Saturday
Sunday
Monday.
draw.
Let's pray Friday. I'd rather the Friday.
I like the
Well,
Friday
if we
draw.
win Friday, then we
Sunday.
we play Sunday.
Sunday afternoon.
If we get the Saturday, we play Monday.
That's when you wake up.
I found out. This is a side note, but I did find out who is playing at St. Patty's Day.
You breaking news right now?
I'm not. I will not tell you who it is, but it is fun.
Under. Better than last year.
I mean, you can't. I mean, last year's tough to compete with.
Yeah, last year's was definitely tough to compete.
I mean, the
What
guys
do you know?
But But this year it'll be the performers will be very entertaining, and there's a lot of bangers. That's all I need to say. But anyway, hopefully I'm celebrating after the win on Saturday because I'm riding in a float, so I'm gonna be inebriated.
Perfect.
Right, and then on Sunday, luckily it ends. I'm not gonna be out all night, and I'll just come to the game on Sunday.
Yeah. It sucked last year that the parade was on that day because parades are fun. I mean, I'd love to be able to go in a parade. I think they wanted. Excuse me.
Well, there you go.
A parade will get you.
Will. I think they wanted to get Mulkey to ride in a float last year, but we just couldn't.
Of course. I mean,
that would be electric.
But can you imagine if she rode in a float, then went out and won again? Like, you can't do that.
No. But in an Eagles jersey.
Oh, hey, shots fired. Shots.
No. Yeah, I think Friday, Sunday, or Saturday, Monday are those dates. I don't know. I guess we'll find out selection Sunday. But speaking of, back to the question, we got on this huge tangent.
That's what we do on the show.
Yeah, it's fun. How important is it to send our girls off like that? It's our gold game. We're gonna have the Sunday golds on.
Is a whole crowd like? Is it a gold game for the crowd? Is that like?
I think there'll be T-shirts for gold T-shirts for the fans.
The whiteout was sick.
Whiteout was sick. The pink out was sick too. It just sucked that it was raining.
Right.
I mean, you had a lot of hype behind the game. Students still showed out though. I mean, students still showed out. I think we had almost 600 students there, and I only know that because Coach Starkey said that he would donate $1 to the Breast Cancer Foundation for every student that was there.
How awesome was
Flage?
Yeah, Flage.
I mean, that's special. That's
1,000? Was that what she said? 1,000?
Rounded up to 1,000. Donated it out of her pocket.
She's playing a game, dude.
But I think one last time, regular season in the PMAC. Let's get loud, rowdy, party in the PMAC. Sunday afternoon. There's no excuse. Like, the kids have been out of school. They don't have school today. They don't have school tomorrow. They don't have school Wednesday.
School doesn't matter.
It's like Thursday, and then who has class on Fridays? Like, just roll it into the weekend.
Yeah.
Come to the game Sunday. Pack it.
Make it a bender.
Church, brunch, and basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
Church, brunch, and basketball. I like that.
And I think there's something to be said about our attendance this year. Just looking at the numbers, South Carolina, it's taken them forever to build that. Where was Dawn in year 2? Go look at those stats and then come talk to Kim. But what Coach Mulkey's been able to do in a year and a half, a year and 3/4, whatever you want to call it, and seeing the students rally behind her, seeing the community rally behind her, it's like,
I mean, shit. Yeah, the Iron Man.
Yeah.
In attendance watching the game, Cal Ripken Jr. was there watching the game.
Yeah.
What's the connection with Cal? Like, is there a connection with Kim?
His
and
daughter's
Cal?
going to vet school.
She's trying to get into vet school, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd imagine that Cal could probably pull some strings.
I'd imagine. Yeah.
I mean, if she took care of him, he's the Iron Man.
He's
I
the
mean,
Iron Man.
we walk into the game at
I
Florida.
mean, his teammates with Ben McDonald, so that was.
She's in.
we,
We should be more worried about Brett.
What?
Brett Favre's daughter is trying to play volleyball here.
She is on the volleyball team here.
That's
Is
more
she?
problematic.
Oh, I wasn't talking.
beach volleyball, I think.
Beach volleyball.
How did Brett come up?
Yeah, but then how? Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I don't know.
Tangent.
he is suing Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he is suing him.
Well, what about this? We get to Florida. We get to Gainesville, and a couple days before we left for Florida, Doug Peterson sends Kim a text say, "Hey, you have 2 tickets." So Doug Peterson and his wife
I
sat.
saw that.
sat
Were they,
courtside.
so were they at La Tech? Doug Peterson wasn't at La Tech. was
ULM,
he?
I think.
Yeah.
I think Louisiana Monroe. And his wife grew up going to Lady Texters basketball camps. Has been a huge Kim fan, and
That's awesome.
not that you care about celebrities and big time people, but the amount of people that are coming to our games. My buddy, defensive end for the Saints, Malcolm Roach, played at Texas with me. He texted me the other day like, "Hey, can I come to the game?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll get you the best seats I can." And about 10 minutes before the game, he's walking in, and one of our boosters was like, "Hey, I have 2 extra court sides, so boom, let's put him on the floor." Sat next to Janice Guitro.
That's
Talked
awesome.
Guitro's ear off the whole game. But
Safe to say people are behind what Kim's
doubt.
building here.
No doubt.
I mean, it's just going to get even better. Jasmine Carson hit 7 threes yesterday. Well, her uncle, you know who that is? Samuel L. Jackson. Tweets at her yesterday, doing what you do.
wow, I love that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Say what again?
Jasmine Carson, 7 threes. Samuel L. Jackson tweets, doing what you do. And, little hint here, like you're hinting at Uncle Earl's, we've got some big time people for these LSU hype videos for the postseason.
Oh, I can't wait.
Love it.
I'd imagine.
Spike Lee's going to be behind those.
Wow.
No, hold on, sorry, Sheldon Lee.
I know.
But that Spike Lee. But we've got some people who have agreed to narrate some of the hype videos. So let's make a deep run in
I like that.
in March, whether it's SEC.
I mean, I'd imagine that they go as far as they think they can go, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no limit. Obviously, they saw how they matched up against South Carolina, but moving from that game, they've come out, they've taken care of business, they've won the games they needed to win. You'd imagine like they can go out and they can make a deep run.
And that game, that game too, if it happened again, won't be played in Greenville.
I mean, listen,
SEC championship.
yeah,
in Greenville.
but like in the
outside.
tournament,
Yeah.
outside.
the way South Carolina started the game couldn't have been any worse for LSU.
Correct.
Like I mean, that was just
18-2.
and then they evened the game out. They leveled the game out and got to single digits. And
cut it to 3. What more
Yeah.
can you ask for? And then
Right.
they extend it back, and then out of halftime, we cut it to 5. 45-40 in the third quarter. Like
Right.
we were right there, but
It's hard to win against 6.
well, we're not going to get into that side.
That's me saying it.
What we were lacking there was just that mental toughness to find that next gear.
Right.
We got the gears started turning once
Yeah.
we got down 18-2 because we easily could have just flipped the
Right.
switch and said let's take it to the
But
house.
to beat teams like that, you can't allow those situations to happen.
Right. And like I joked about earlier, one of the first times I went to Allen Fieldhouse was a lot like that. We came in with a lot of energy. We were top 25 team, middle top half of the Big 12 standings, and Kansas just goes on this crazy run to start the game, and it just kept getting louder and louder and louder. But the fact that our girls were able to kind of weather the storm, so to speak, I think that just it gives you hope for March, because the final score, we lost by 24. That doesn't indicate how good of a game that was.
Right.
I mean, they whipped us. They did, but it wasn't a 24-point game just because the final score was 24. It was close. There was a lot of goods that we could take from that game, and we've learned from it. And I think we're getting back to where we need to be. And everyone says you want to peak in March. We're still climbing. I mean, we're getting closer to where we need to be.
I'll tell you what, in all the sports, the lead up to those runs in big time basketball, like when the run starts to start like this, someone comes down, makes a 3, they go down there, they get a steal, they go down fast break, layup, they come back down, miss, and you go back down, you make another 3.
Kill.
Like that build up to like that momentum is, I don't think that there's anything like that in any sport, right? Like the crowd, like the way the crowd starts to level up every possession, then all of a sudden like it just explodes. I'm like, that's what makes basketball, especially college basketball, so awesome. You don't really see that in the NBA until you get to like playoff basketball and those types of things, just because the season's so long. But in college, I mean, that's a real thing, right? And like you kind of felt that early on, and so to overcome that, I think is a big thing, positive.
And another thing, and it probably hasn't come up much, but we're one game back from we lost South Carolina, half a game back, I guess, whatever you want to call it. They play at Tennessee on Thursday night. Anything can happen.
Right.
So if we take care of business on Thursday night against Vandy,
Well, so yeah, how's that work?
If Tennessee steals one against South Carolina,
So they would still win it though, right? Because they have the tiebreaker.
we would be co-champions. They would have head-to-head and be the 1 seed. So we technically could be playing for an SEC championship or a share of the SEC championship on Sunday at home.
There you go.
I mean,
even more reason to show up.
Even more reason to show up. Like, you never know what's going to happen Thursday. South Carolina's good. Tennessee's good. And
Where's the game?
in Knoxville.
You just said that Tennessee.
I know. Well, I wasn't listening to that part of the conversation.
I will say
Lloyd's doing double work over there.
I got to
I'm in
give
the
credit to
chat.
my brother here. So we had Wi-Fi on our plane flying back from Gainesville on Sunday, and the Wi-Fi didn't. Well, you couldn't stream on it. You can still text and everything. So my brother FaceTimes us, and he's holding the phone up like this on the TV screen, and we're all watching it, watching the Ole Miss game. We were all Ole Miss fans for a few seconds there, because
What was the final of that?
it ended up being 6 or 7 point game. But once again, the biggest lead of the game was the final score.
Right.
I mean, Ole Miss was within 2 possessions the whole game,
Right.
and took the lead with a minute left. It was 55-54 with a minute left.
Well,
So
we're gonna keep pumping it here to make sure that everybody's there on Sunday.
Yeah.
I would like to go on Sunday. I don't think I have anything going on this weekend. I'd like to be there on Sunday. So I think I'll take the wife and
Let's
we'll go.
see. I think think it's an afternoon, like a little bit later in the afternoon. Let's see. Sunday, February
Go to
26th.
the calendar.
5 o'clock. LSU versus
perfect.
Mississippi State.
Look, you got a little Sunday scaries. You leave the house, go there.
Maybe go get some crawfish and get you
There you
some
go.
beers before the game and then show up.
Bring
It's
liquor
crawfish
in.
season, baby.
Yeah.
You
When
want
is-
to finish this? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, when is Alexis Morris going to finish the highlight tape? She's so close to putting somebody on a mixtape tour, and she can't finish. It
so
crushed
close.
her in the highlight.
Oh yeah, that one hurt her. She was so when she crossed that girl for Ole Miss. Oh my gosh, she's close.
Had to finish.
Had to finish it, but she will. I mean, but later in the game, she hits that shot right in front of our bench that kind of sealed the deal. But yeah, I think this whole season has kind of been a highlight reel for Lex.
No doubt.
She's got some big games coming up. I was on the phone with my dad before I got out of the car, and he was like, "Lex," and I'm like, "Dad, Lex is fine."
She's really the only. I say the only one.
Revenge
She's not the
tour.
only one that's capable of doing it, but she's the only one that's consistently done this year. Is able to score off the dribble.
Yeah.
Right, like create her own her own shots, be able to score whenever
Yeah.
kind of she wants to. All right, everyone else kind of. I'm not saying they can't do it. They just haven't consistently showed
Right.
it. Now that goes into her being a senior, she's done it for a while, and she's super talented. But I think that's important to have, especially in the tournament, because you need somebody when everything's going to shit. You need somebody to say, "Get the ball and just score."
Yeah.
Like you go and make it.
Kayla Pointer for us last year.
Yep.
When everything fell apart, give her a high ball screen or don't even set a screen and let her go to work.
Yeah.
And that's very, very valuable to have in March. She's got to get through Vandy
doubt.
on Thursday, get through Mississippi State, and kind of then you get to take a little step back. You don't not much because you got to go play SEC tournament, but even Coach Mulkey will say it. The conference tournaments really don't mean a ton to her.
Right.
Obviously, any
Right.
game that we step foot on the court, we want to go win. But we can't overlook whoever we play in the first round.
Absolutely.
Last year, we get Kentucky in the first round, and they got all their girls back, and they were like an 8 seed, and they ran us out of the gym.
Yeah.
So that middle pack of the SEC, the Arkansas, the Georgias, the Mississippi States, that group right there in the middle of the SEC is who probably we're going to play in the first round. And you can't take them for granted because what you don't want to do is get sent home early and then you sit and you have to wait a full week.
Right.
Until, I mean, you're going to have to wait regardless, but I think our first game would be on Friday of the SEC tournament. Selection Sunday is not till the next Sunday. So it's different than the men's game where conference tournaments lead up right into Selection Sunday.
Right.
You got to go home and wait a full week. So it'd be nice for us to get 1 or 2, maybe 3 wins in Greenville and come home feeling pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Have some good energy. And I think we've got a team crawfish boil planned at Mr.
There you
Ivan's
go.
house that week. We've
There you
got
go.
some fun stuff for the girls to keep them locked in. And then Selection Sunday, we'll see where we get. One more note. You said send-off. We are having a send-off outside, I think, the admin building on Wednesday of next week before we leave for Greenville.
Nice.
Last year we had a very good showing. A couple hundred fans showed up.
Nice.
It'll be at noon on Wednesday. I think we'll announce that
All right.
later this week and start promoting that.
Yeah,
But,
we'll promo that for y'all for sure.
it's really cool to see fans come out. I know it's tough during the day for people to leave work, but students, if you're walking in between classes and happen to be by the stadium, it's fun. Coach really gets the girls hype, and Greenville next week,
That's
but
it.
Nashville this week, and one more home regular season game Sunday.
Nashville.
Me too.
Nashville's a good time.
Happy for you.
Go to
I
Stanford.
appreciate you coming on the show, dude. Always. It's always fun. You can sit and we have 2 segments if you want to sit through the segments with us, unless you got to bounce. You don't have to stay. I'm not trying to bully you into staying, but
Probably go eat dinner.
yeah, go eat dinner.
But yeah,
All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you. Anytime you want to come on, we'll be on. I'm gonna try to be out there on Sunday. I'll hit you up and let you know.
yeah,
For
please
sure.
Please do. It'll be a fun one.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Should we take a little break?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take a
let's show
30-second break. Let's let him get him out of here. You're watching Mik'd Up.